Tomorrow is set to be one of the craziest days in the stock market that we've seen in a long time. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, today was actually a pretty nice appetizer for that. Looking at the market today, obviously we saw a ton of selling pressure, as we can tell by the chart right now. A bunch of industries are impacted, and there's a lot of just profit taking ahead of the giant event we have set for tomorrow. In today's video, we're going to go over the most important things you need to know about the market for today. At the end of today's video, we have a $1.4 million trade you won't want to miss, and we have a bunch of great setups for tomorrow. So make sure to stick with us all the way to the end. We have an amazing video today. But Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, that was a pretty bad drop today ahead of that FOMC meeting coming tomorrow. That FOMC meeting at 2 p.m. Eastern time, where they're going to give that interest rate decision, is going to be so important for the overall market. So really keep your eyes on the market at 2 p.m. Eastern time whenever they give that decision. And then Powell is going to be speaking at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, just 30 minutes after that decision comes out. All right, so looking at the FedWatch tool right now, Mike, there's an 87% chance, or at least they're pricing in that, of a 25 basis point rate hike right now. And if we actually go out to the probabilities chart, this is actually expected to be the last rate hike, honestly, for the next couple of years, or honestly through 2024. Look at this. They're expecting to start dropping rates in September. You can see how they're expected to hold rates at around 500 to 525 basis points there for those next couple of meetings, which means that they'll pause the rate hikes. Everybody right now keeps talking about the pausing, Mike. And, it looks like over the next couple of meetings over there in June and July, we'll get that pause. And then maybe coming in here in September, we'll finally drop down and they'll start to, decrease these rates a little bit, which means they'll start to regress, obviously. So I'm really happy for that whenever that starts to happen. But for the next few months, we could see continued volatility. And just like we saw here today, there was a lot of fear coming in with this. We even saw gold pop up, which was amazing, up 1.93% on GLD. And then there was also a bunch of banks that fell off today. The banking situation, Mike, is getting very scary out there. And I feel like a lot of people are not talking about it as much. JP Morgan obviously is getting a lot of FRC, and a lot of banks like WAL and others really crashed down today.
Exactly. So that was huge, and no one's talking about this right now. Look at a couple ticker symbols like WAL and like PACW, and there's a lot of other prime examples of bank stocks not just falling, but straight up like getting murdered. PACW is down 28% today. Not this year, not this month. Today, it's down 28%. That is a giant drop. And this stock is not the only bank stock that is taking a beating right now. There's a lot of fear in the banking industry right now. And a lot of people are just de-risking in, not only just bank stocks, but other stocks, as we saw in the market today. And they're putting their money into like safe haven type assets like gold and silver and even some treasury bonds. So either way, we're seeing a little bit of a shift here in the market, Tom. And I'll be honest with you, it's not necessarily the shift you want to see.
Yeah, especially ahead of that FOMC meeting tomorrow. That shift is going to be huge. If Powell ends up saying something negative and the market doesn't react well to it, we're going to probably see a huge explosion out of gold again as that fear comes in. And, the overall market has been really running up lately. I know today it was obviously a big bloodbath, but if we look at it over the past few months, ever since that low back in October, we've been honestly uptrending pretty well. Now, we've been having a lot of problems with the SPY breaking out above this big 418 to 420 resistance up here. Mike, this resistance looks like it's holding up again for now, but tomorrow should tell us the whole story. If the market reacts well to this meeting and to Powell, we might actually be able to break above that. That's honestly not too far of a move considering what's going on. But that move today was definitely scary, and keep your eyes on GLD, UVXY, SPXS, and some of these other ETFs that inverse the market if the market starts to drop.
I will be honest with you, Tom. I am definitely leaning towards the downside right now for the market. If we look at SPY over the past couple weeks and months, as you said just a couple minutes ago, it has been on a crazy uptrend. And honestly, I don't feel like this level is justified right now. I feel like SPY is definitely overbought. And even just like looking at just multiple areas of the market right now, when you have bank stocks getting clobbered like they are, that is not good at all. But on top of that, like when we see gold and silver and other safe haven assets seeing the inflows they are right now, that's not necessarily like a good thing, right? It's like if you see everyone like rushing towards the exit sign, it's like there's probably a reason for that. So I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit skeptical of the market right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we dip down. But as always with these types of events, tomorrow will be so important because whatever Jerome Powell says will have just a huge impact in the market, and he's arguably one of the most influential and powerful people in the world, especially when it comes to stocks.
Yeah, he really is. So guys, just be very aware tomorrow. And besides Powell, Mike, we actually have more earnings tomorrow as well. So in the morning, Barrick Gold reports. That's ticker symbol GOLD, if anyone wants to check that out. Phillips 66 is reporting. CVS is as well. Qualcomm and after hours. But tonight, Mike, we had the powerhouse AMD report. And it's actually not going well for us. So if we go over to AMD's chart right now, they are down quite a bit. Now, this could change. We saw some pretty big reversals out of other stocks like Intel and etc., which had some volatile moves whenever they reported. And, they got pretty volatile as that night went on. But for now, AMD is moving off to the downside, and they actually beat on revenue. They beat on EPS. But I will say, Mike, it looks like that data center revenue missed a little bit along with the client revenue. Gaming came in just slightly above expectations. I will say the report's not too bad, but whenever I read it closer, it looks like there's a huge drop in PC sales this year. And ever since that big boom after COVID, a lot of PC and companies like, for example, like Intel, AMD, even NVIDIA maybe, might start to see some issues with this over the next few months.
Very interesting. So definitely keep a close eye on AMD tomorrow. This earnings was pretty heavily anticipated. And of course, when you have a downside move like this, it's not necessarily a good thing. Tom, what would you say are the most important levels on AMD going into tomorrow?
Yeah, so in after hours here, I actually already had a big support right around $86 even. It looks like they're bouncing off of that right now. But if we go out to a 1 hour chart of AMD, there's a big area of support pretty much everywhere from 84 to 86. So we have to be very careful anywhere from like 84 to $86. If we start to fall under 86, maybe watch for a test back down here of 84, which is that recent low. And if we fall under 84, I think we could go quite a bit lower. But, honestly, with the after hours move, I'm not going to look at too big of a move down because it's probably just going to be one of those big moves down at open, or it might just hold its ground even if it ends up opening as low as it does right here.
All righty, good stuff. So now we have to talk about some news that you definitely don't see every day. So I was scrolling through the media today, and I saw some news with Ben Shapiro dumping almost $5 million into this very small pharmaceutical company. So check this out. So Ben Shapiro dumped like $4.7 million into ticker symbol ORMP. Let's check out the chart right now because it's definitely very crazy. The stock's only trading for like $2.60. And like over the past year, this stock has highs of $13.70. After this investment, Ben Shapiro is actually the largest shareholder of this company, and he's actually on the board right now because of this. And he straight up said this is a pure investment move. He sees ORMP as an undervalued stock. So, I definitely wanted to cover this because, we love talking about like big money trades and, whether you like Ben Shapiro or you hate him, when you see someone putting almost $5 million into a pharmaceutical stock like this, odds are it's not by random chance. And we all know how these pharmaceutical stocks are. They're very crazy, and all it really takes is like a good piece of news or some good guidance, and these things can go crazy.
Yeah, and this stock is insane. I mean, it's very low priced right now. And, like you said, they never usually take these by happenstance. Like obviously Shapiro is probably making this, like he said, as a pure investment decision. So it's not like he's buying this and then he's, going to try to change a whole bunch of things with the company. He said he was actually confident that they could use the money right and, everything like that. So it seems like a very fun play to follow. I'll be honest, Mike, it seems like a straight up gamble type play, as a lot of these big money plays are, especially on like lower price stocks like this, but it could be pretty good. Like you said, a big guy like Ben Shapiro wouldn't just throw his money out there for nothing. So I would definitely think that, there's something going on with this one. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep this ticker symbol on my radar, and I might even set some notifications up for their news, because if something big comes out, this thing could end up flying.
Exactly. And even if we look further back into their history, they've had multiple giant runs in the past. Like back in November of 2021, this stock was trading for like $31.50 per share. I think it would take like some absolute game-changing news for the stock to get back to that point. But either way, it's just a stock I'm going to follow pretty closely. I don't think I'm going to get in just yet, but $5 million is nothing to ignore. So keep it on your radar.
Yeah, it's going to be big. And like Mike said, Ben Shapiro is a pretty influential guy out there. So keep it on the radar. And these pharmaceutical stocks, Mike, can go crazy. Like if we even just go look at BIIB, which is Biogen, we go out to that daily chart, look at some of these big swings that these stocks get with this news. Like it's seriously no joke with the volatility on these.
You know it. All right, Tom. Well, let's get right into the setups for tomorrow. Tom, there's this stock I'm watching very closely. A lot of you already know it by now, but it's UVXY. Basically, when everyone else is panicking in the market and stocks are falling and there's fear and all that good stuff, UVXY pops to the upside. Today it closed up around 7%, but it was actually up a lot more than that intraday. If bad news comes out tomorrow with the interest rate decision, this stock can go crazy to the upside. But at the same time, if the market blasts up, this thing can also tank down. But either way, if you're looking for a little bit of like a hedge against the overall market, and if you're looking for a stock that goes up when everything else is falling, UVXY is definitely a good one for short-term trading only.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites out there. And as we know, Powell brings in that volatility. So I could see this one going crazy tomorrow. And, UVXY, it kind of follows the market, as in like, if the market goes up, UVXY is going to drop. I'm actually watching for QQQ to go down, just the good old NASDAQ ETF here. If we end up falling under 318, or more specifically, right around 317.70, which is right at that low of day today, I'm going to go ahead and look at puts on this one. I feel like that there's so many tech stocks out there right now just set to drop. We have AMD down in after hours right now. NVIDIA is following them down. We even had Apple, Microsoft, and others take some pretty bad tumbles today too. So if these stocks keep pulling back like this, QQQ should be a pretty good put play. And I will say the SPY was amazing this morning for puts.
There we go. Tom, my next setup is one I think I stole from you, but I'm going to go with it anyways, and it's NVIDIA. Basically, this stock has been moving in a great way over the past couple days. Lots of good volatility, both the upside and the downside. And I am looking at this one for a play down, but it kind of comes with like a rule, you can say. The main thing is that I need to see, in order to play NVIDIA to the downside, I need two things. One, I want to see AMD continuing to fall on their earnings release, which we're seeing right now. But I would also want SPY and just the overall market to be downtrending or falling with the FOMC event. So it's like, let's say stocks blast to the upside tomorrow, then I'm definitely not going to look and try and short NVIDIA. So it's like, if AMD and just like other stocks are falling, I will definitely watch NVIDIA for a play down. And, if that's the case, I think it can make for a pretty good short or just, put play.
Yeah, I do too. And I was actually watching NVIDIA a ton. And with that move with AMD and after hours, NVIDIA just broke below a huge support right around 280 and 281. If we go out to the book map here on AMD and then we go over to NVIDIA, there was a huge level today at 280. Pretty much from market open onwards, 280 was that big area down there where there was a bunch of buyers. Now, obviously in after hours here, that didn't, necessarily hold up, but we did break below this big level. So I'm wondering if we'll continue down tomorrow, Mike. There were some big levels overhead today around 289 and 290 as well, which we talked about yesterday. And we actually never got back up there and continued down after that touch of that big level yesterday. So that was huge. I'm really glad to see us under 280. And I think that, that's going to be a big move to the downside. I'm just hoping that we don't open up too low, because right now, I'll be honest, it's kind of ruining the big move under support for me anyways, because now we're going to open up down here maybe around 277 or so.
True that. Alrighty. Well, with that being said, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have KRE to the downside.
Yeah, good old KRE. What a bad move to the downside by those regional banks. If they move under 38.20, watch for some puts. I think this one has potential to really drop, Mike. Like, the volatility on those banks right now are insane.
All right, with the next one, we have GLD to the upside.
GLD, good double top up here right around 187.60. So if we can break above that, go ahead and watch for calls.
All right, and with the last one, we have Meta, and we need both directions.
META, I love that drop today on them. I think this one could follow NVIDIA and the others back down. And I will say they were doing pretty good this morning, but once the market came down, they started falling too. If they get under 238.40, watch for those puts. And to the upside, they had some pretty good intraday resistance right around 241. So if we break above that, watch for calls. I feel like this one could go either way.
Alrighty, so you guys heard Tom. We have that upside level on Meta. If it breaks above that, we're watching it for a day trade up. And we have that downside level as well. So if it breaks below that, we are watching it for a day trade down. And then, of course, don't forget about GLD with the upside level there for a potential call play. And then don't forget about KRE with the downside level there for a potential put play. So keep these stocks close on your watch list for tomorrow. If you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check this out. Our bots have been on absolute fire lately, and these plays have been awesome. So we actually had an NVIDIA put play called out at $490 each. These popped all the way up to $710 each just a couple hours later, but that's not all. There was also a fire alert with Netflix puts called out at $390. Those popped all the way up to $575. And then we also had another play with Meta that went from $352 all the way up to $390. And then I know we already talked about this yesterday, but that free day trade yesterday, Tom, with NVIDIA was insane. It was a call play that popped by 175%. Basically, it was NVIDIA calls alerted at 174, and they popped all the way up to 480. If you guys are into short-term trading, this is the program for you. You get access to our bots signals, swing plays, a bunch of other custom tools you won't find anywhere else, big money, multi-million dollar trades every single day, and a lot of other features that we're not even covering in this video. We also have a gigantic update coming in about 5 days. So if you guys are into short-term trading, this is definitely the time to join up. The prices will be rising when the update comes out, and the prices will just rise continuously in the future because the technology we have being developed behind the scenes is pretty damn awesome. If you want to give it a try, it's that first link in the description and the comments down below. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right back into the video. And it is now time for the big money $1.4 million trade of the day. We are looking at IVZ. We almost never talk about this stock, and it is Invesco. It's an investment management company. The stock fell by around 2% today, and this trade is $1.4 million that went into the 13 strike puts that expire on January 17th of 2025. This is essentially a bet that, assuming that they are buying these puts, that IVZ has a lot of room to fall.
Yeah, exactly. If they are buying them, I'll be honest, with how much time they have, I feel like they actually might be shorting this one, Mike. It's 1.4 million. It's the 13 strike, which I'll actually go ahead and plot the number down here right around 13 anyways. It's within a few cents. So you can see where 13 is. It's really not that far off in reality. Like, this stock could easily move down there within just a couple weeks or a month. Like there's been some pretty big moves like that in the past, but I will say with that much money in, it does make me feel like they might be shorting it just given the time. If it was shorter term, maybe I feel like they'd long it, but I don't know. They're definitely looking for a big move down on this one if they did long it.
Very true. So I'll definitely have a close eye on this one. I'll be honest, it's not necessarily my favorite big money trade in the world, but as with any other $1.4 million trade, I'll be watching it pretty closely. But Tom, going into tomorrow, we have what is set to be the final rate hike for a while. As you mentioned a couple or earlier in the video, this is set to be the final rate hike, and then the market is just expecting a pause and then eventually rates to be cut again. So do you have any final thoughts going into the big show?
Yeah, it's really not looking good. Like you said earlier, you're leaning to the downside. I'm leaning to the downside, especially with a lot of these tech stocks starting to drop too. It seems like the SPY had a bit of recovery at the end of the day, but it kind of looks like a dead cat bounce. This 411 resistance might end up holding up, especially with all that fear coming in with the banks. Keep your eyes on WAL, PACW, and those others. They had some big drops down today. If this happens again tomorrow, I think that the markets could start to free fall again.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, these types of events are always pretty crazy. So buckle up, guys. It's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. Like I said earlier, if you're looking to short-term trade, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Our bots are absolutely awesome, and you won't find them anywhere else. Last but not least, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. And giant shout out to today's member of the day, Cornish, in the Stocked Up Discord. Cornish is by far one of the most active and positive members in the chat. He's been in the Stocked Up Discord for over 3 years now, and he's just an awesome member of the community. So huge shout out to King Corn in the chat. Thank you so much for everything, and let's have a great rest of the week.